Pen Made Mightier without wood.
Hey, welcome back to Pen Made Mightier. Gideon Ray. We're going to be talking about Steven Universe again this week. This time we're going to be talking about some of the lore and world building, especially what's developed through foreshadowing early on in the show. I was really impressed by this show's amazing use of foreshadowing, something that a lot of shows try and use and end up using kind of poorly. Not with Rebecca Sugar. This show does it masterfully. We're going to start all the way back in episode 1. We talked about Cookie Cat, and the jingle foreshadows a lot of developments in the show. Take a listen.
He's a frozen treat with an all-new taste, cause he came to this planet from outer space. A refugee of an interstellar war, but now he's at your local grocery store. Cookie Cat, he's a pet for your tummy. What? Cookie Cat, he's super duper yummy. What? Cookie Cat, he left his family behind. Yeah. Cookie Cat. Okay. Now available at Gervin's off Route 109.
Let's break that down line by line. He's a frozen treat with an all-new taste. This is a show that's going to make you happy, it's a show that's unlike any that you've seen before, so it is a treat, and it does have an all-new taste. Because he came to this planet from outer space. Of course, up until like halfway through the season, you have no clue that the gems came from outer space, other than the fact that they're strange. So if that was your initial reaction, you called it. But for the rest of us, this is a clue. Something to look forward to. A refugee of an interstellar war. Perfect. I had no clue that the gems would actually be refugees from a war with Homeworld. And yet here they stand. Our brilliant heroes who have won the day, but at what cost, and are now stuck on Earth, never to return home. Foreshadowed in a song about a chocolate cat. But now he's at your local grocery store. They live a mundane existence on Earth. For the most part. I mean, they do some missions and they fight some monsters, but they play a lot of video games and they eat ridiculous amounts of breakfast and they nap and they spend time with Steven and they have cookouts and all sorts of stuff that you and I do. So now they're at your local grocery store. Sums that up very nicely. And then they say he's a treat for your tummy, super duper yummy. He left his family behind. Letting you know that if you don't go back home, you don't go back home. Pearl misses home. Maybe all the gems miss home, except for Amethyst, who was raised here on Earth. We have to assume that they left something precious behind. Maybe people, maybe families. Who knows? All that to say, a clever little jingle about an ice cream sandwich that Steven loves shows you so much about the plot and could even clue us into stuff that we haven't even seen yet. I hope so. I'd love to see those topics explored a bit more. You know, Ronaldo is another strange case. He says a lot of stuff that ends up becoming true. Think about Keep Beach City Weird. The end of that episode where he talks about polymorphic sentient rocks and the diamond conspiracy. It's perfect. Polymorphic, many forms, shape-shifting, basically, which is what our gems are. And the diamond conspiracy, well, later we're treated to knowledge that Yellow Diamond is one of the villainous leaders that we'll be facing. There's even fan theories that state that the images that we see on the ground in the spaceships could be referring to the fact that Rose Quartz was Pink Diamond and part of a series of diamonds that were the leaders of Homeworld. Who knows? I guess we'll find out. Even silly moments can foreshadow some pretty cool stuff in Steven Universe. Like when Steven is musing over what their next mission will be, he says he hopes it's fighting a giant foot. And Pearl writes this off as absolutely ridiculous. And then the return happens and this thing shows up. May not be a foot, but he was certainly close. Garnet was a huge surprise to many, and it was something that a lot of people predicted. And there was a lot of reasons behind that. Garnet being a fusion of Ruby and Sapphire was predicted super early because of a lot of context clues that the crew threw in for dedicated viewers to find. When they're trying to teach Steven about fusion, they say that fusion is hard, and Garnet leans against a wall and says,
"Not for me."
Yeah, I bet you fusion's not hard for you, Garnet. Oh, I wonder why. She talks intensely about fusion, and when Stevani happens, she's got this crazy grin on her face because she's so happy to see Steven involved in this wonderful process she loves so much. When she uses the door, or when she shows her palms to use said door, you can see 2 gems. Beyond that, two lights on the door's star light up, a red and a blue. Garnet, being more of a purplish hue primarily, made a lot of people question if Garnet was actually made up of two gems the entire time. The other thing, Amethyst plays the drums, Pearl plays the violin, Garnet plays a keytar, a keyboard guitar, a fusion instrument, as if to say that I am not one but two. Clever, very clever. Lastly, in fusion cuisine, all the gems fuse together to form alexandrite, but at dinner, everything falls apart. Literally, actually. And for a brief second, in the light that forms up our heroines, you can see not one, but two shapes, Ruby and Sapphire's silhouettes, before they merge back together mid-fall and form Garnet by the time they hit the bricks. It was amazing to learn that after finishing the series. Woo! There's tons of little things that foreshadow episodes that have yet to come. You could see Connie's bracelet in the very first episode in the back of the freezer. And in Cat Fingers, one of the forms that Amethyst rolls through is Purple Puma, as if to say, yes, I've always been a wrestler. And maybe they had that plan from the beginning. Or maybe it was just a happy coincidence they decided to revisit the wrestling form. Whatever the case, I'm happy they did, because Purple Puma is damn cool. In Serious Steven, there's a mural on the wall, and it really does seem to depict Rose fighting against maybe Yellow Diamond. I think that would be a remarkable thing to have shown that early in the series. Go back and check it out. It's worth looking at. In the regeneration of gems, you can see lots of little things. When Amethyst regenerates at the end of Reformed, you can see several of her earlier incarnations from that episode as they cycle one through the other through the other. Pearl does the same thing when she reforms in Steven the Sword Fighter. At the end of the episode when she reforms, her first form is the form that she took from the pilot. The second form after that is her 80s form, which we don't see until the second season. The third form is her original form for this primary series, and then finally she settles on her new incarnation. They even foreshadow that all of the monsters they've been fighting are in fact gems, which we learn as they're on their way to deal with Lapis Lazuli, when Pearl says this.
All gems aren't necessarily good.
But that point is foreshadowed when Centipede regains his form in Monster Buddies, showing a humanoid form before assuming his monstrous one. This is another reason why Bismuth is Bismuth. Bismuth is best Bismuth. Moving on. Lastly, they do a remarkable amount of work to make sure that the gems' interactions with humans definitely feel alien. They never feel like they really fit. And there was a lot of work that went into that. When they were banned from Fish Stew Pizza, they couldn't give a damn if they were banned from Fish Stew Pizza. Not even a little bit. Pearl even goes as far to say that humans live short, meaningless lives, as if they are gnats or flies, and really to nigh eternal beings, certainly we'd look that way. But she's mad at the historical inaccuracy of William Dewey's play. And, well, that's probably because when you live for thousands upon thousands of years, how hard is it to get something right 100 years in the future? In Rising Tides and Crashing Skies, they act as if humans are completely insignificant to them, and they don't even understand the concept of food properly in fusion cuisine. Pearl having a definite distaste for eating, but Amethyst having a severe skewed view of what food and intake is supposed to be. It's kind of a weird little plot hole, maybe, that Pearl even says that she hates eating there, but we know she drinks tea, and, well, she also says that she likes pie. Pie is food, Pearl. Pie is food. They have no concept of what bathing suits are or what they're supposed to be for, having to be shown what they are in magazines in order to truly grasp them. Then there's the birthday episode, where they don't understand any of the customs revolving around birthdays at all. They even ground Steven for 1,000 years from TV, and they enforce it until eventually they lift it. But my favorite, of course, is Garnet when she's talking to the Mauritians and saying that the children are playing swords. Sorry, playing with swords. Oh no, they are bleeding. They are dead. Don't call her again. Sorry, she panicked. It's a very alien thing to not even understand how to talk to another parent about what's happening with their children. And I love that this show went to such a degree just to show, yeah, the gems are not human, and that's totally fine. Anyway, thanks for sticking with me through this bit of a ramble. Next week, we're going to talk about Steven Universe a little bit more because I am not done with this show yet. Make sure to keep up with us on Facebook and Twitter, and if you love this episode, subscribe, and hit me up wherever you can. If you got an idea for an episode, I'd really love to hear it. Thanks for sticking with me. Have a great day.